I feel everyone's really looking for genuine passion and connection, and that's where people want to spend their money. They don't want to spend their money in somewhere that is just all about the turnover and making the money. It's more about they want to spend their money in places that are passionate, where people feel passionate. And I feel like, I've really got that here. I feel like that passion's definitely back again. I feel like before I came here, I was kind of going in, doing my work, going home, more than anything making it through the day because I was so busy. I feel like now I have the time to care a bit more about the individual person that's sitting in front of me. I feel like I have way more of a connection now with all of my guests than I did before. I know them as friends rather than just people who are in my chair for an hour. I feel like that's definitely made me a better person. It's made me care more.
And so what is it that's the best part about being a chapel stylist then, do you think?
Probably the time that we have, I would say. It's just, that time to be able to get to know them is really important to me, and not to feel rushed or forcing a connection. It's about having that time to let a natural kind of connection blossom. So
Why is it so important that you have this surroundings? What does that do for you to then get that best out of that guest? So you sit and have a cup of tea with them, and you sit on this sofa, and you bring them. How does that nourish you to be who you are? What's that?
It's mainly for me having the individual sections that we have really spread out. It makes it feel like I'm more kind of out for dinner with them chatting rather than having an audience of people there that I have to impress, It's having that space and that privacy, I would say, to be able to really get to know them. Sitting down on the sofa and having a tea when you first meet them, it's just really disarming. It really kind of makes people instantly feel relaxed around you, like they're meeting a friend for a coffee rather than sitting down in the mirror, what we're doing today. It's more informal, which I love.
So what is it that you'd tell other stylists to be, it's quite a brave thing for people to come and say, people think, it's a big building, they're really cool people. But what would you sort of say to somebody that, were thinking about it? How would you help somebody have that sort of leap of faith, if you like? What would you say, to that person?
I think on the outside it looks kind of sometimes intimidating because of the building that we're in and how impressive it is. But I've never worked anywhere where everyone is so down to earth, from the people at the top to the people on the other end of the scale. It feels everyone is on the same level, and we all respect each other in the same way, and it just feels really informal, professional still, but it feels more like you're working with friends rather than working in a hierarchical kind of place.
And so we can go on to training then, really. What's been great about the training at the chapel for you?
Yeah, do you know what? It's been so different, and it's one of the things I love is the fact that the training doesn't just come from the people who are doing the training, it comes from the whole team as well. Everyone has their own spark, everyone has their own talent, and we can showcase it, and it's not just about, okay, you get taught by the people who've been doing it the longest. It's everyone has something within them where they've got a unique talent, and it's about showcasing it, so I love that.
If you were talking to imagine all those hairdressers, and you were if you wanted to do one thing, what would you say to them to be what's the fire in your belly about being a stylist at the moment?
The fire in my belly at the moment, especially coming out of COVID, is that I feel everyone's really looking for genuine passion and connection, and that's where people want to spend their money. They don't want to spend their money in somewhere that is just all about the turnover and making the money. It's more about they want to spend their money in places that are passionate, where people feel passionate.
That's so true. That's really true. It's that human connection, that human bond, isn't it, that people are buying right now?
That's exactly it. People are coming in and they see that, and I've had so many people comment on the fact they're like, oh, it's so nice. I always hear people laughing around here, and you can see that you'll genuinely get on, which is really nice, and especially with our guests as well. People can see that, and I think they can feel that as well. So, I think it is really important, that genuine connection that we have here. Yeah, it's lovely.
Really good. Yeah. And what about the creativity? Do you think you've become more creative? Is your hairdressing changed?
My cutting has come a long way. I had training obviously with Kirsty when I first came here, and I tell her even to today, not everything that she taught me, I still remember now, everything, partly because she's such a great teacher, but secondly because I wanted to take that in. I'm quite passionate about my cutting more than I am about anything else. So yeah, definitely become a lot more creative. I was quite textbook before, quite, you know, if you want one length with layers, and everyone will get that one length with layers. Or if everyone wants like a crew cut, everyone will get that crew cut or that skin fade or anything like that. But now it's a lot more tailoring it to their face shape, even just down to their dress sense, and simple things like I'm looking at what kind of collar they're wearing, just tiny little details that I would never have thought about before, and I educate them more on, you know, if you're going for a bob, you've got a high collar on, so actually it's going to look a little bit longer compared to anything else. Like, you wouldn't ever think that the collar has anything to do with the haircut. But yeah, so definitely it's opened my eyes massively to just a whole new world of hairdressing, really.
There's young people that want to come and join us, but they're too scared. The buildings are amazing, but I feel like sometimes they're a bit scared. So what would you say to somebody to like?
I can completely relate to that. I know when I first walked in here, not only was I incredibly intimidated, not because of what anyone said to me, but the building is intimidating. Everyone looks really cool. I didn't have a style. I was just little olds, 20-year-olds, like newly hairdressing young girl. Like, I had no style. My hair was like, yeah, anything. So I came in and I was completely intimidated, but in the same respect, I was like, I want to be one of these people. So as much as I was so nervous and so scared, that was enough for me to be like, I want to be one of those people. I want now, in 2 years' time, for a little me to walk in and me go, you can be one of us. Come on, like, come and join us. Which is exactly what the vibe I got. Everyone was so welcoming, but in the same respect, the whole situation was quite scary. So I think I would say use that fear and that anxiety that maybe I got and turn it into something good, because it does come out the other side, and it's so worth it.
Never underestimate yourself, Tony.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm talking about you.
Yeah,
Don't.
yeah.
All right? Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
I feel like since coming to the chapel, honestly, that there was kind of a lid on what I felt like I could do.
Yeah.
And now that I'm to the chapel, or with the chapel, I feel like the lid's kind of come off, and I'm like, oh my God, there's so much that I can do, and like create and show who I am and really do what I love in like the purest way. I feel like with working with time, it cuts out everything else, you know, everything's included. It's just our time is all they pay for. And I think that's amazing, because you're not worried about, you know, oh, I can only do a half head or a full head or a T-section, and it's amazing that you can just have complete creative freedom, and it kind of lets go that idea of, oh, we're doing a half head today or whatever, and you can just kind of look at that person as an individual and think, what is it that you need, rather than, well, you're paying for this thing and we're going to have to do that in this 45 minutes or whatever. Yeah, I definitely feel like personally as well, it's allowed me to feel like much more relaxed, and I think it kind of transfers into my job and being a stylist and just being myself and feeling good in myself. And I think if you're good in yourself, you can give that to everybody. I think before within the industry, it's pretty normal to be pretty burnt out and kind of work a lot, and you know, all the hours under the sun. And I think now it's changing. I think people are realising, especially with lockdown and coming out of the pandemic and everything, people realise, and stylists realise more than ever, how important it is to kind of look after ourselves as well as we do look after our guests. And within that, you can kind of, you know, you can't pour from an empty cup. So it's, yeah.